Hello and welcome to a very nostalgic review for me of the 2007 Sith Infiltrator, given set number 7663 with 310 pieces. It was originally $30, but as of the recording of this video, that's $45 in today's money, and on sites like eBay, it'll cost you between $150 and $200 sealed in box. Now, if you were paying super close attention, you may have noticed I actually have two boxes for this Sith Infiltrator. One is a North American box with the piece count. The one without the piece count is the European box. I bought the European box because I saw it on eBay and thought, that's a beautiful box. And so you can see for the North American boxes, they added this very large red stripe on the bottom. It said limited edition. It talks about how the Darth Maul inside is hard to find. The reason it says limited edition, though, is because it was actually exclusive to Walmart during its release in North America. Anyway, just in case you were interested, the back sides of each box are the exact same. They don't have any differences. Cutting into my North American box, inside there are no numbered bags, just a bunch of bags and one loose part. Inside of the instructions, there's no special art or anything particularly fun, but on the very back, it does show off a bunch of 2007 sets, which is amazing. The Darth Maul minifigure is the only figure in this set, and right off the bat, that's something that has changed modern day with LEGO Star Wars. They would include other characters in a set like this nowadays, so I feel like the Darth Maul, for the time, it was acceptable and normal, but definitely feels like not enough nowadays. It is the exact same figure they had released in 1999, so from 1999 to 2007 here, the actual ship for the Sith Infiltrator saw massive improvements, but the figure in Darth Maul here saw zero improvement. So it's not a bad figure. It actually is one of those 1999 figures that has aged quite well. It's somewhat passable. And lastly, we got to take a second to pay our respects to those chrome lightsaber hilts. Those things were just gorgeous. I don't know if it's just a nostalgia in me talking or not, but this to date is still my favorite LEGO Star Wars Sith Infiltrator. I love the way this thing looks. I think it's a great mix of tile and studded on the outside without being kind of caked up too much like that 2015 version was. So I really like the way this looks, but it's far from flawless. It has some weird quirks, let's just put it that way, that I'm excited to show you. First main feature here is the landing gear. It's retractable, which is amazing, but if you just put a slight bit of pressure on the top of the Sith Infiltrator, it will kind of fold in on itself, so a small con there for sure. Now the legs and feet are actually on a turntable piece, so you can see they actually can turn a little. They have a little give to them, which is kind of nice, just makes it a little bit easier to use. But if you want to fold it up and into the body of the ship, you just put the feet up and then you lay them straight down into the slots there. It is fantastically hidden into the ship. I love this landing gear. It's one of my favorite landing gear ever on a LEGO Star Wars set. I think they just did a phenomenal job hiding it into the body and also making it just very easily accessible. You can just pull it right back out whenever you need it. This inverted tile on the back, by the way, is the third point of contact onto the ground. So you have the 2 feet on the front and you have that tile on the back that makes it stable. The next, I suppose we can call it like a pseudo play function, is going to include Darth Maul there. You'll notice the red lightsaber blades on both sides of the Sith Infiltrator there. There's also some red accents with those cone pieces and, of course, up near the cockpit. But there's also a couple of empty clips on the side of the Sith Infiltrator. Turns out this is the storage spot for Darth Maul's lightsaber blades. You can see the front end of the ship just got knocked down like I was mentioning earlier. I like to think I wasn't exaggerating with the issue with the landing gear doing what I said it did, but you know, it adds this really nice bit of extra color on the outside of the Sith Infiltrator that I think isn't necessarily needed, but it definitely is really nice in this particular case. I really love the way it looks. Now, of course, we still need a place for his lightsaber hilt and binoculars, and you'll find that inside of the frunk of the Sith Infiltrator. Can I call it a frunk? To get inside of this section, again, you have to be careful not to push too hard down on the front end because it will collapse the landing gear. But if you put your hand under here and then you push forward while pushing down on this piece, the whole thing will slide off the front end of the Sith Infiltrator. Now, that's dope. However, it also has a weird quirk where sometimes it will take this whole thing with it because this isn't really, it's, you know, just connected with the 4 studs there. It's not like a Technic connection that holds it down in some crazy way, but there is a good bit of like friction built into there, so it does take a little bit of force sometimes to get that whole thing to come off, but once it's off, it's nice and off, and it will you know, give you a nice bit of space on the inside of this Sith Infiltrator to work with. Now in here we have a few of the Sith probe droids. These are pretty simple designs, but are pretty nice. It's just an antenna piece on top of a black minifigure head. They are placed onto some translucent red pieces, which I think just makes it look a little bit cooler on the small interior that we have for this Sith Infiltrator. The other clips inside are for his lightsaber hilt and his binoculars, and you saw once again the Sith Infiltrator goes down. So we can slide this whole piece right back on, and it kind of clicks into place. It doesn't really click, but it's just got like the friction piece at the very front that you're waiting for it to kind of connect into. Now the build for this set is done in 2 sections. The front section, which we just looked at, and if you want to call this like an escape pod feature, you totally could. It's just connected by the 2 Technic pins there. It's like a really simple connection. It's definitely something that kids could have gotten enjoyment out of. When I was young and had this set, did not use it like that, but certainly could have been. But now we have the back section with the wings and the cockpit area, and there's a lot of cool stuff here too. Starting with the fact that the details on here are printed and they look incredibly nice, beautifully accurate, nice color, everything looks great, and it really adds to the design of the Sith Infiltrator here. Now we'll get in here in a second, but I want to show you that the wings can open up very nicely, and I think they used the perfect part for this. It captures the shape beautifully, especially at this scale for the Sith Infiltrator when they're opened up. I just love the way that looks. Fantastic at pretty much any angle to me. And you can see those red lightsaber blades really adding that nice splash of color on the side of the build. But we also have these pseudo flick-fire missiles on top of the Sith Infiltrator. It's kind of weird. Now, at first glance, these may look the same to you as what you think of as a flick-fire missile, but these predate what we think of as flick-fire missiles nowadays because they don't actually have the Technic pin piece that holds them into the hole there. They can just freely fall out at any point in time. So when you're flying this ship around, playing with it, or just moving it from one display spot to another, they literally fall out almost every time. It's really annoying. Don't like it at all. Do really wish they had included the real flick-fire missiles. I hate that I'm saying that, but yeah, these were way worse than what we ended up with just a couple years later. Finally, we get to venture inside. All you have to do is lift this piece up. It's on a smooth hinge, so it lifts up very nice and easy. And then we have the interior of the Sith Infiltrator for the actual pilot, Darth Maul. The first thing kind of hidden inside is his speeder. It's on a nice little piece here that allows it to stay grounded on the interior of the Sith Infiltrator. You can see a couple of rail pieces that essentially hold it down with this clear stand because that'll slide underneath them. The build is very simple, but it's beautiful. It gets the job done. You've got the handlebars for him to hold on to, and then on the back end, you might think it interferes with the cape, but actually the cape is just going to flow right over the top on there. Now, because there's no studs for him to actually sit down on, you really do need to connect him to the handlebars to make this work and make sense. You can see it's going to knock some pieces out of the way, but eventually, if we get everything right, we'll have everything on there the way that it's supposed to be. The cape, because it's brand new, it's not really worn in, so it is forcing him to pop up maybe a little bit off the seat. I think he looks fantastic on there, especially because it just kind of artificially gives him that forward lean, and I think that makes it look like he's moving a bit faster. Same with the cape kind of flowing behind him. And again, the speeder is like really nicely scaled to the figure. It looks fantastic. Now with Darth Maul on there, you can slide the whole thing in because he otherwise doesn't really have a seat or way to stand on the interior. We have to slide the whole thing in, and then you close this piece around him on the outside. Now, because this is like the TIE cockpit piece, it's obviously hollow on the inside, so even though he kind of juts out from the back of it, it's still going to go around him just fine, and he'll fit in there. Lastly, of note on the interior, we have this nice control panel that they built up higher so that it's on eye level for Darth Maul when he's on the speeder bike. Pretty dope. I think overall this set is really good. Obviously, it still has those couple of flaws that we discussed, but with that Darth Maul on the speeder bike, it's hard to ignore some of the greatness that this set brought, and it's a fantastic upgrade from what had preceded it in 1999. I think if this is a set that you've always wanted, or if you're just into it for the nostalgia, or you owned it as a kid, whatever, it's still worth buying in 2024. I just think it looks so unique, and the red accents will really pop on display. I think I would rate this like an 8.7 out of 10. I got some real hardcore nostalgia for this set. Let me know what you think of it in the comment section below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and you can check out more 2007 LEGO Star Wars set reviews on the end screen now.